Lewis Hamilton is embarking on a major new adventure at Scuderia Ferrari this season. This highly anticipated move from Mercedes will be a dream come true for the 40-year-old Englishman. His loyal fans are certain he will do great things for the Maranello team, making his legacy even bigger. However, many obstacles stand in his way before he can succeed. And after reading a brilliant article the other day, the list got even bigger. There's a bad development going on in F1, something that always happens after a few years in the same regulations. We're going to look at the challenges Hamilton has, including this new surfaced issue. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. Let's start with the most obvious challenges for Sir Lewis Hamilton. He has been driving Mercedes engines his whole career, and the teams he drove for were based in his home country. The culture at McLaren and Mercedes was very British, even though Mercedes-Benz is a German brand. Especially at Mercedes, they were happy to make this world-famous star the center point of their attention. Hamilton grew into a role as an ambassador for many good causes, and he's well known outside of Formula 1, especially when it comes to fashion. You could say he's a bit of a diva, but I mean that in the most positive way possible. In Italy, there's also a diva, and that's their national racing team, Scuderia Ferrari. They don't care how many titles you have or how famous you are, nobody is bigger than her. So far, everyone is excited about Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. He received a birthday cake in the shade of red that could be the new darker shade they will have as a livery this season. If things go well for Lewis, then everything will be hunky-dory. But if things go south, and he speaks up about it, then I can't see this backfiring big time. The Tifosi are the most loyal, but also the most fierce fans in Formula 1 fandom. That can work for you, but also against you. Now, Hamilton is the most decorated driver on the grid, with 7 titles and 105 wins. But he's never been a technical whiz, like Vettel was, or a strategic wonder, like for instance Alonso. Ferrari happens to be the most laughed at team due to their poor, weird strategic calls. Charles Leclerc has been suffering ever since he joined, whereas Carlos Sainz often made his own strategy, and to great effect. Ferrari needs to get rid of its strategic failings altogether, or it'll cause havoc. Often at Mercedes, Hamilton will be asked what tires he thinks are the best, or if he agrees with an early or a late pit stop, and he always tells them that he doesn't know and lets them decide, and then complains about it. Hamilton will be working with Riccardo Adami as his main engineer. Adami was the engineer for Sebastian Vettel at Ferrari from 2015 until Vettel left for Aston Martin in 2021. Adami spoke very highly about Vettel's feedback and attention to detail, and they had plenty of wins together, but no titles. I don't recall there being any flashpoints between Adami and Vettel. So it looks like he's a very stable character, something which is needed when working with world champions. So maybe Adami is the key to a smooth strategy for Lewis. Let's see how it goes. I recently read that Lewis Hamilton is learning Italian, which is something I admire, but I'm also realistic that it's incredibly hard to do when you're older. I tried to learn Spanish a few years ago, and even with me watching a ton of drug-related shows on Netflix and some great Spanish-spoken films, it did not stick. I don't see Hamilton learning enough Italian to be able to follow the conversations in the garage when they're all laughing and joking with Charles Leclerc, who speaks fluent Italian. During more serious moments, one could get suspicious where you're not able to follow what has been said. There have been occasions where this happened. I think it was Prost who spoke Italian, and it bothered his teammate. That would mess with my head too, no doubt about it. It did when I worked in Ireland, and those f***ers are hard to follow when they speak fast. And that was in English. Talking about Charles Leclerc, he hasn't been beaten by his teammates very often. He basically ended Vettel. Seeing as Hamilton lost to Russell, who I rate lower than Leclerc, I don't see Lewis Hamilton outperforming Leclerc in normal races. If it does come to on-track blows between the Monegasque and the Englishman, I know that Leclerc won't back out, and he's incredibly hard to beat. So, Hamilton, in a new team, with a new car, in a different culture, with a different language, has one of the strongest drivers on the grid as a teammate. It's going to be so mentally straining to have this much younger guy beating him all the time, and it could see him spiraling down even more. Now that I'm listing all this, I doubt this is going to end very well. He's going to get slaughtered, especially the first season. And I haven't even mentioned the new big problem yet. I read this amazing article from John Noble, a freelance F1 reporter who has just started writing for the race, about how in the past years the number of overtakes has gone down drastically. That article gave me the inspiration for this video. It dives into the problem with these fully developed cars, using information he gathered from stats and talks with important people at the FIA. I'll leave the link to the article in the description of the video. So what has that got to do with Lewis Hamilton? You may wonder by now. Well, it is as follows. The hybrid era cars we had from 2014 to 2020 had one huge flaw. A shortcoming the FIA and FOM tried to solve with the ground effect cars. Those hybrid era cars caused massive amounts of dirty air, which made following and overtaking incredibly hard. Cars couldn't follow because that air behind the cars, the wake, prevented cooling, and it caused the tires to overheat. It's impossible to cool tires in dirty air. So if a car approached closer than 2 seconds distance, they needed to be damn sure they had the overspeed to overtake, or you'd be stuck there. In those days, track position was king, and to get track position, they needed to qualify well. Lewis Hamilton has scored 100 poles or more, and most of the time he drove off and won. That's all he could do, according to an angry Alonso in Belgium. Lol. During the first 2 seasons of the ground effect era, pole position became less important. Max Verstappen dominated races and won from many different positions on the grid. Ferrari often was faster during the qualifying sessions, but Verstappen had set up his car more for the race. We saw some amazing fights during those 2 seasons, with cars overtaking each other lap after lap as the tires didn't overheat as much. Unfortunately, the aero rules didn't clamp down enough to prevent dirty air, and the phenomenon returned. It's believed that the current cars have 65% more dirty air than 4 years ago, and that's a crying shame. We're all looking forward to a massive fight between at least 4 teams, but what good is that if they're all stuck in each other's DRS? It brings back the importance of good qualifying too. I posted a poll on my Twitter about who is the strongest qualifier on the grid in 2025, and the results said that Max Verstappen is strongest, but that's just my audience, Charles Leclerc second, and Russell third strongest. I'd say that Charles Leclerc is the fastest guy on one lap, followed closely by Verstappen, whose qualifying skills go a little under the radar. Lewis Hamilton is getting slower in quali. There's no way around it. Barely anyone voted for him in the polls. I don't know if it's because he's older and reflexes are dying down a bit, or maybe he's using his brains more than he used to, but Russell has wiped the floor with him on Saturdays. Now Russell is an amazing qualifier too. I just want to get that out there. In short, all the problems Lewis already has are being enhanced by having to start behind his teammate and perhaps another group of cars each race. If that happens, then he'll have to fight his way past these cars that are almost as fast as his, in the wake of these cars with loads more dirty air than before. He will need to rely on brilliant strategy calls from his newly appointed engineer, and even that isn't possible in every race. I think it's looking grim for the man from Stevenage. I hope for his sake that the expectations of John Elkann, Ferrari CEO, are less high than those of the media and Team LH. That the business end of the collaboration between these legends counts more than the actual results. My word, if Hamilton managed to get a win and a few podiums in the 2025 season, I'd be impressed. How do you guys think he'll do? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe, and you can become a member to enjoy early access and extra content. Take care now. Doei doei.